Yo, guys, welcome to another episode of the Three Bios. This is game week 4, I believe, in the Premier League now. And we're going to discuss a little bit about transfers. We're going to touch upon that, and then we're going to get into the games for today. So I want to start off with some transfers. Obviously, the deadline for the Premier League clubs shut yesterday or last night. And first one what I want to touch upon is, as you see on the screen, Mason Greenwood will be going to Getafe on a
Etafe.
low. Getafe, yeah, whatever they are.
Etafe.
Etafe. It's got Geo. Stupid thing.
Yeah.
Um, Etafe, they're going to be United are going to be paying 50% of their wage still, so he's still on United books, and there's no obligation to buy. So that means he will be coming back to Manchester United in 2024. Um, it's a bit of a brave signing for anyone to go near Mason Greenwood, if I'm really honest. Brave,
Yeah.
stupid, I don't really know, one or the other. But if we're just looking at him on football talent, he is exceptional or was exceptional. I don't know where he's been. He hasn't played football in how many years now? It's got to be like 2 years, right?
A year and a half. Upwards of a year and a half.
Yeah, easy, easy, easy. So how sharp he will be, I don't know. But I think that'd be it's a brilliant signing from footballing terms for him. I think for the player, it's good to get away from England. But if I'm their fans, I would be fuming, if I'm really honest. To do it so late, with not consulting, obviously, the fan base and how they're going to react. To be fair, I seen some of the tweets, the comments under the tweets, and it wasn't the greatest, should we say, response they had from it. What's your thought on the signing?
Where was this now?
This is on Fabrizio's tweet underneath. It wasn't the best comment. It wasn't the most politest one, should we say,
No.
underneath.
Was that
As you
aimed
can
in
imagine.
was that aimed and directed towards Fabrizio himself announcing it,
No,
or
no, no, nothing to do with him. More towards the club who've obviously signed him. You know what I mean? And their fans. You know what I mean?
I'm looking?
Obviously you get the one or two United twats saying, "I'm gonna follow you everywhere you go." Fucking grow up, you silly dosser. But yeah. What's your thoughts on it then? I know it's a bit of a not the great subject, but we may as well get straight into it.
Sure, sure. I mean, ultimately, I think looking at Greenwood's past history when it comes to some of his online uploads to Snapchat, YouTube, what have you,
Hmm.
there seem to be a bit of an immaturity time to him, especially when it comes to his interactions with the girl that he's hanging around with. The like, kind of strange behaviors, like licking each other and one picking the other's nose and eating it and things
Wait,
like
what?
that. So these kind of things were always on the periphery. But with the talent that he has coming through the Man United academy, that unbelievable finishing ability that he possesses with either foot, very
Hmm.
smooth, very silky, very kind of bendy, whippy left foot that he's got on him. It kind of seemed to supersede everything else that was bubbling underneath there. There was always a couple of questions about his temperament and his character and his lack of
Really?
maturity, falling out with Ronaldo at the time and stuff, or one not passing to the other, or purposely not passing to each other when one would be
Yeah.
to score or whatever it might be. When really a kid like Greenwood should have been kind of learning from the likes of Ronaldo and taking as many tips from him under his wing. So that right there told you there
Like a
was a bit.
Ganacho.
Yeah, so that right there told you there was a little bit of an ego issue already. I mean, you're barely breaking through, and
Hmm.
you look at this colossus of a footballing icon playing in the same team as you. Yeah, I think you got to look to try and humble yourself a bit rather than see yourself on level terms with him. You don't have to act as though you're beneath him, but there's a pecking order in all kind of walks of life. And if you as a
Yeah.
20-year-old don't have to have an appreciation and a respect for that, then that goes a long way to show what kind of young man that you are, where your level of maturity is at. And obviously, with what's ended up coming out, the voice recordings, pretty much sound like him with that very kind of particular Yorkshire accent that he has, and then you put 2 plus 2 with the uploads that his on off hitting our kid's mum back on again, um, girlfriend kind of uploaded showing her bruises, her scars, the beatings, this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look at all. But they went to well, there was an attempt to take it to trial. She ended up taking him back. The charges ended up getting dropped and dismissed. So, in the eyes of the law, really, he should just simply be allowed to get back on with his life, even if we all deep down feel we know what the actual reality of the situation was. The law is the law, and yeah, but by law, even if not morally speaking, he should be allowed to be given another second chance. Certainly, given off the fact that he hasn't actually been convicted for anything. Yeah, okay, deep down we all know he possibly, potentially, allegedly, probably, likely.
He did. It was him. I'm
That's,
saying it was.
that's not for us to say. That's not for us to say. But
But we can all
if
have our opinion.
yeah, true, but if a court of law didn't convict you to commit a
Court law
crime,
didn't get a chance to do it though.
fair. So we have to keep it moving then.
Yeah, 100%. But it doesn't mean we have to accept him at our club.
Uh, I think speculating is dangerous as well because other than the two people involved, no one 100% knows either way. It's just a voice recording. There's no picture that goes along with it or a video. Anyway, Hetafe have signed him. Obviously, there was always a chance that he was going to have to get his contract cancelled, which I think obviously ultimately ended up happening, and that he'd have to go move abroad somewhere in the far outskirts of I don't know, Spain or Italy or
Albania.
yeah, something like that. I think a decent club's picked him up. So the best thing that he can do now is get his head down, knuckle down, and
Mate,
from
your mic,
this.
your internet's cutting in and out, bro. Really bad.
Sorry, that was the headphones being popped back into this little
Oh,
pod
is
thing.
it? No,
Yeah, yeah.
your internet's like cutting in and out, mate. You keep
Oh,
freezing.
okay.
Just so you're aware.
Okay, well,
Just keep an eye on it.
I'll pay my bill when I'm done talking, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, been given a second chance, and I think really speaking, everybody deserves one. Um, not maybe not quite everybody, but 99% of people who have offended in some way, shape, or form do deserve to be given a second chance because we've all messed up in life in a multitude
Yeah,
of ways. Some of them don't even come to light. So yeah,
yeah,
there we go.
100%, 100%. But yeah, he's well. At least he's going to be getting some football anyway under his belt, and that if you look at it from a footballing side of it, at
Just
least he's going to get some footballing.
strictly speaking, from a football point of view, strictly and nothing outside of that related. This kid is a phenomenal talent, man.
Yeah,
Uh, he could have been the future of England. Him up front, cutting in on that left foot, or using his right foot to kind of whip balls in and score top bins, bottom corner, wherever it might be. Him, Saka, Sancho, Rashford, Foden, Grealish, just that whole combination, man. It's just mouthwater. It's a mouthwatering prospect, to be fair. Can I say Eddie Nketiah? Maybe I don't know.
too far.
As well in the mix. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I thought he was going to be one of the golden kids, in that Saka, that
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 top
kind of
two
generation.
percent, like
Yeah, that whole combination. Southgate, I used to sit sometimes and think to myself, oh my goodness, if I was Gareth Southgate, man, and I had an attacking lineup like that, and I get to pick Bukayo Saka, I get to pick Phil Foden, I get to have Mason Greenwood up there as well. They're all linking, mixing, combining. Frightening prospect. And then obviously, Greenwood did what he did, or didn't do what he was accused of doing, and yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
all went a bit petong, didn't it? So
mm,
yeah, so I think it's yeah. All in all, I think it's a win-win for United. Get them at the club, get the negative press away from it a little bit, and then we can move forward now with him getting playing football, but also us we're not having that over our heads. Next one I want to talk about is Brendan Johnson going to Spurs. Um, yeah, a bit of a I really like his transfer. I think it's a brilliant signing. I like Brendan Johnson a lot. Um, oh wait, I said his name wrong. Probably it's Brennan or something. You told me off last time for it. But hey, brilliant signing.
Being a
You are.
Welshman, I think being a Welshman, it's important that we get the Welsh boy's name
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
He could be.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's a brilliant signing for him. You can play in the multiple positions within the front three as well. So I think he's a good rotational player. 40 million plus five, I think, is a good price for his age as well. I know you may disagree with that, but for me, I think that's a brilliant price. Um, yeah, how much did they buy him for? Do you know, it wasn't much. They made a huge profit off it, Nottingham Forest, but I'm surprised they let him go.
I think it was 45 million, which is quite a lot of money. Um, so like 45, 50 odd million seems to be the new 15 to 20 million nowadays. Brennan
Mm,
Johnson, in his maiden or debut season in the Premier League for Forest, was their one true consistent standout. A
mm,
nice little, tiny, comfortable, balanced, consistent, tricky right winger. Um, Plenty of pace to burn. Very good at kind of getting usually either the consolation goal or the opening goal or the clinch match winning goal for Forest. He would always pop up in the raft of big money names and signings that they brought in. He was always the constant that would constantly turn up for Forest.
yeah,
Um, I think he's in a lot of admirers back of that very good season that he had in the Premier League. There were a couple of clubs sniffing around. I feel maybe it would have been best for him to jump to that next tier of Premier League club, like a settled Premier League club, before then diving into a top six team. But I think this is a smart and a shrewd investment and a buy. I think he's only 20 odd, maybe 22, I want to say. And Tottenham have needed freshening up in their attack for the longest time, really. Heung-min Son, not really at the peak of his powers, to be fair, anymore. Get into his early 30s now. Kulusevski, not really ripping up trees the same way he did when he initially came on loan. Obviously, Richarlison, I don't really think we need to say much more on that. And yeah,
yeah,
it'll be a big boost to Tottenham's attack, I would say. There's a lot of Tottenham fans, their online presence, they're not happy at all with the window that Tottenham have had at all. I mean, looking at my phone, I'm seeing things like Levy out trending. I'm seeing uh, disgusting trending. And then when I click on it, it's just all reference to Tottenham Hotspur. Um, yeah, just they're not happy at all. To be fair, they feel like their money could
really
have been better elsewhere. Yeah, leave you out. Enough is enough. Leave you out yesterday. Leave you out today. Leave you out tomorrow. Leave you out always. Um, yeah, crazy the reaction.
crazy. That is a bit crazy, to be fair.
Yeah,
Chris
what's
is in
happening?
chat saying, I'm not speaking from a footballing point of view. He's a top talent. He's on about Greenwood. Good on both feet. At least he's happy back being doing what he loves doing.
Who said this?
Chris, Chris.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah,
He's a
speaking from a
world.
footballing point.
He's a he's a world class finisher to me. There aren't too many kids and youngsters that can come up from an academy, and within a couple of months' time, you can look at them and just clearly state that they are world class at finishing.
Yeah,
It's usually a thing that over the course of a number of years you kind of have to build towards to even get anywhere near close to being labeled as that. But yeah, I know he's got some other holes in his game that could do with some rounding out. But as far as his finishing goes, he seems to be a naturally gifted, blessed finisher with either foot from any angle. It's ridiculous. I don't
yeah.
really think I don't really think Man United fans knew what they had on their hands with him. He's an exceptional talent. He's actually got a lot of the things that Rashford doesn't have, and
He's a
vice
better
versa.
player, I think, than Ganacho. He's got more. He's more of a talent than Ganacho, which is saying something because everyone's raving about Ganacho.
It depends because they all have different qualities. Like Garnacho is fantastic on the counter attack, running at defenders and what have you. I don't really think Greenwood has that. But I think when you give the ball to Greenwood in the box, he'll find a way to shift it onto his left or his right foot, and he'll just ping it with precision, and it'll find a corner. Bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right. Yeah,
Hmm.
very impressive talent. I would have taken him. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely. The next transfer I want to go on to now is obviously Ryan Gravenberg. This is the last one I'm going to talk about. I think it's
so,
probably this signing.
so again,
I love Gravenberg. Absolutely love Gravenberg. Okay.
so me and my mate, we would watch the odd Bundesliga game every other Saturday around 5:30
Hmm.
when no other Premier League games are on, and whenever Gravenberg would pop up either for sub or starting or whatever, the commentator would always make sure to pronounce his name as Gravenberg.
Oh, is it
Yeah, really got to put
Gravenberg?
the Gravenberg. That's it.
Oh God. Well,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah,
And well,
yeah,
Ryan is
yeah.
you know what I mean, top talent. Really, really like him. I think he's only 21 still. You know what I mean? I don't, or maybe 22. I don't think he's very old at all. 40 plus
Very young.
5. So I guess what you're on about with the Johnson or whatever his fucking name is, Brendan Brea, whatever his name is, it's been the exact same price. I guess there's a different in quality as well in it. Like Gravenberg's miles ahead of Johnson, miles ahead of Johnson, and yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think that's gonna help
Difficult,
their midfield huge.
difficult to say that, Alex. Difficult to say that because so Gravenberch really proved himself in the Eredivisie, Dutch Eredivisie, and he had a
Mm-hmm.
couple of decent and very good Champions League performances. But he hasn't, I would say, performed at a top in one of the top three leagues in the same way that Johnson has. Okay, Johnson hasn't played in the Champions League. He hasn't signed for Bayern Munich and mixed it with the likes of them. But I think that's quite subjective
To be fair, he
comparing the
still
two.
hasn't signed for a top club. You know what I mean? So
Well,
you know.
well,
Oh, I've upset some people with it, but hey, yeah. I don't know. I just think he's miles ahead personally. I think he's had the experience at the top level. I think that's the difference. Does that make sense?
are they, are they comparable considering they play in completely different positions? Though?
They can, well, yeah, they are, aren't they? Because they based off the same price. I'm comparing them off price.
Oh, okay,
You know
okay.
what I mean? When you compare the both prices, that's a better deal than obviously Johnson. You know what I mean? When you're getting that talent, that
Depends.
experience.
Depends. Every team has a different valuation of what their particular team needs. You know, so Liverpool needed a central midfielder. They deemed him worthy enough to pay that amount of money for, and Tottenham had their issues in attack and wide areas where they deemed that that was sufficient money to spend on someone in that position. So subjective, eye of the beholder, and all that. You
Yeah,
know,
I guess. But for me, my personal opinion, I feel that's a better signing than I think he'll do really, really well at Liverpool. Really, really well. We'll soon see.
I agree. I still don't think he's quite the defensively minded central midfield reinforcement that they need because I wouldn't call him a central defensive midfielder. He's a bit
No.
more of a all action, get up and collide through. But I think Liverpool will get on just fine, man. They've got a lot of talent going on there. And they played
Yeah,
against Newcastle the
100%.
other day.
I think him and that
They have
what's their new number 10? I think him and
the ball
them two will.
great.
Yeah, I can't. It begins with S. Slojan, whatever his name is. Really, really good. Really recommend
Dominic
him. I
Dominic
got. Yeah, that's him.
Dominic Boslai from Hungary, well, the Hungarian from RB Leipzig. He's picked up the number 8, the Steven Gerrard, and
Yeah.
yeah, the Steven Gerrard number 8, Naby Keita as well. Lol. Um, yeah, every time I've watched this guy, man, they've got an unbelievable footballer right there. And Alexis
Hmm.
McAllister that is looking very tidy next to him as well. I think Liverpool have got a midfield that can do real bits, man. Klopp has just ripped up the whole thing. Usually, a Liverpool midfield under Jurgen Klopp would consist of like three kind of workhorse type midfielders, and then they'd let the flashy attackers go and do what they do. But this time, Klopp seems to have emphasized the attacking kind of focus and the talent and the magic in the central area. So Alexis McAllister, and probably Gravenberch in that. Like every one of them is an attacking midfielder, you know, and
Yeah.
it just gives them a multitude of options, man. They're going to score a bucket load of goals this season. I can
Do you
see it,
reckon?
and
I think Liverpool. I think they'll win the Europa League, and I think they'll definitely come top four. The way they've spent wisely as well. I think they're definitely going to get top four. I think top four is going to be very, very interesting this season. Extremely interesting. Um, right.
beware.
Let's get into some of the games. Let's get into some of the games now. So, we'll touch upon these quite quickly. We'll try and keep it short but sweet. Um,
Uh-huh.
Sheffield United, Everton. Um, right. My thoughts on this. I think Everton will win that game. I really do. I don't think Sheffield are the greatest at the moment. I don't think. Do you know
Why?
anybody they've signed?
Why is it a given that that Everton will win that game? Have you seen Everton of late?
Yeah, but I think they got a little bit more quality than them. That's the only reason.
Well,
Um,
only on paper, because what I've seen on grass, Sheffield have more than held their own. I don't know if you recall having watched them hosting
yeah,
Manchester City last weekend. I think it was on a Sunday, the early kickoff maybe. And yeah, they were dogged, they were resolute, they were compact, they had a good shape to them, they had good attitude, they had good work rate, good work ethic, and they even got themselves back into the game at 1-1 after
but I watched
City's.
them against Lincoln. And they were terrible, mate.
Fair,
So
fair. But the bread and butter, I guess, is the league performances, isn't it? And from what I saw there, there's enough there for them to put up a fight against anybody. I mean, a lot of I'm not sure how many teams that have been promoted can go one down against Manchester City and have the audacity to come back to 1-1 and only get
yeah,
done by a late minute Rodri volley. So yeah, I think a bit more respect on their name is needed. Everton, they've played three. They've lost three. They've scored none, I believe. And they've conceded. How many did they concede? They conceded one against Fulham at home, the first
I
game.
can get up here from them.
Yeah, they conceded one against Wolves and lost to them 1-0. And they conceded four against Villa. And every one of them games, they didn't score a single goal in. And they conceded six in the
Yeah,
first.
yeah. They haven't really got the striking force, have they? But I don't know. It's just a gut feeling, mate. I just generally
Well,
feel.
they've got it at both ends. That they don't have the strike force on one end to get goals, and they don't have the decent defense to keep them out of the back either. A lot of the Everton fans that I know are absolutely seething with the club, the way it's conducting themselves,
Hmm.
itself. The Sean Dyche uh, match day selections and lineups, persisting with the likes of Michael Keane, who he's got a relationship with from Burnley, his previous club, or their previous clubs, and him being culpable for a lot of their defensive mistakes and errors that are going on in that Everton back line. Um, yeah, Jordan Pickford, nothing like the version that turns out for England usually. Midfield just not really knitting well together. The attack completely blunt and unimpressive. But they did have a FA Cup game against was it Doncaster Rovers, where I think their new boy what his name is, Joao Pedro, I think his name is. He managed to nick the winner to to get the game
Mm.
over the line for them. One. And yeah, they could be rejuvenated by that signing, but so far, man, Everton really need to pull up their socks because they've been stinking the league out. And you think they would have learned from last season when they just clung on to their Premier League status by their fingernails. They've obviously ended up with that same kind of shoddy form that had them bogged down in the lower end of the league last season. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
I
look like much.
think I do think that they haven't really backed their manager. They haven't really done anything. The board has got a big issue at Everton. I think the fans made that quite clear that they're not happy with the board. But I think Sean Dyche, he's nothing exciting, is he? He does a job, but he will literally do the bare minimum to get you or try and keep you up. You know what I mean? And I don't think, for me, I don't think that's what they need. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think they need a change in management. I think they need a change of the board. I think I think possibly new owners, everything. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, they do want that Farhad Moshiri out, and they want new investment, new ideas. I think they're building that new stadium, Stanley Park, and one of the funding the companies that were going to fund that or help fund that and see that through. Um, I think that deal for the takeover has fallen through, completely collapsed. So I think it's put a lot of the stadium bits and pieces into doubt.
On
But yeah,
hold, yeah. Put it all on
yeah,
hold, like.
we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, not a good time to be an Everton supporter whatsoever, man.
No, no, definitely not. Just want to touch up on Sheffield United. Um, a team not full of big names, but a team that is a team. I think that's how I would describe them. You know what I mean? Very good team performances. I just don't think they got enough quality. I really don't. And I don't know what it is. I just don't think they have got enough quality to match it. I think it'd be touch and go if they stay in the league.
Effort will always supersede talent, right? So for all the international names that Everton have got in their lineup, if they're not putting the work in,
Mm.
then then well, it's going to tell, isn't it? Yeah, the 12:30 kickoff as
Yes,
to
yeah. Well,
no. So we'll see.
so yeah, right. The next one then is obviously Brentford versus Bournemouth. I think it's gonna be a very interesting game. I think the two sides will kind of cancel each other out. I like Bournemouth quite a lot. You know what I mean? I like the way they're playing. Brentford again. I think they'll have the. I don't know. I don't even know where this is gonna go. If I'm really honest, I don't know which way this is gonna go. Um, it's two sides that are very. They're just there, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're there, thereabouts. I mean, just surviving, but not really enough to go down. Um, Bournemouth has spent a lot of money. I was quite surprised how much they spent when I looked at it. Which for when you look at their squad, it's like, where's that gone? Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then you got Brentford, then who have always been a club that have just they're like a Brighton but a Wish version, if that makes sense. They buy players and then they just seem to be good in the team. Do you know what I mean? And then they let them go. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. It's like a Wish version of Brighton, I guess you could say. Um, what do you reckon of that game? Oh,
um,
before you do that, actually, score prediction: Everton, Sheffield United.
oh, I can I can feel a draw. I just don't know whether it's going to be a score draw or a 0-0 stinker. I'm going to say 1-1.
I'm going to say 1-0 Everton, personally. Clean sheet as well from Everton. I'm going for it. I'm going a bit stupid.
Yeah. Of
Uh,
the Toffees.
Reese will be happy with me, but Reese will be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
um, so what's your thoughts on the Brentford Bournemouth game?
So yeah, Brentford not Brentford is a team that I have struggled to. I initially struggled to warm to um, until we faced them at the what is it, the community Brentford Community Centre Stadium, wherever it might be, in their very first Premier League game. They beat us 2-0. It rolled us over. And since then, just a burning hatred for them because Ivan Toney with the tweet after the game about kick about with the lads, even though you just beat like the mighty Arsenal 2-0, but okay, kick about. David Raya, I think that we've now signed. He's got the date of the game tattooed on the back of his neck, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's our goalkeeper. So there's a bit of an irony there. But to be fair, Thomas Frank, he's helped Brentford maintain their Premier League status. Um, uh, he's got a good solid unit there. No real flash names to throw out the lineup and the squad, but they always seem to put work in. As I'm sure you can attest to when they turned you over 4-0. I think it was the
I
first
knew
or
you
the
were going to
second
mention that.
game.
That's why I was being quiet about your game. Um,
But they,
yeah,
but
yeah, and
they,
I think the
they,
more impressive thing for me is that they've successfully replaced players that I thought they would miss. Do you know what I mean?
I,
Um,
I've on a gambling ban. Yeah, you got Johan Wissa and Brian Mbuemo right back in there. A fearsome front two, very tricky live wire strikers, and yeah, always good to get you a couple of goals.
Yeah, 100%. Very impressive. Bournemouth, Billing. I'm really quite impressed with him in the midfield. Obviously linking it with that Solanke or whatever his name is. I can't say his name. I'm not very good with names.
Dominic
I don't know if people have
Solanke.
noticed.
Yeah, Dominic Solanke. Yeah,
Really impressed with them, and obviously I love their keeper, that Neto or Nito, whatever his name
club,
is. I love him.
club captain, club captain now as well.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Brit-
exactly. I
yeah.
think they got another. I think that's again. I think that's another great game. I would love to watch that. I think I'm definitely gonna watch that today. Alongside probably the Chelsea game, or no, probably the City game. For today, that's my two where I'm gonna watch at the same time. Score prediction.
Oh, I'll let you go first. I'll let you go
I'm gonna
first.
go 1-1. I'm gonna 1-1 draw. Nice, nice. I think it's just gonna be very tactical. Battle of two heads, and I think the quality kind of matches in a weird way. Even though I think Brentford have got a little bit more quality, but
Mm.
yeah, 1-1 for me.
Yeah, I've been quite impressed with that new Bournemouth manager, Andoni Iraola. I think he's come from Spain, Bilbao in Spain, maybe. That kind of name is usually associated with the Basque region. Um, and I know that a lot of people are impressed with him, but I think it's going to take him a bit of time to get a functional unit out of this Bournemouth team.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say a Brentford 2-0 victory.
Brentford 2-0. Oof. Okay. Next game then, obviously the Burnley Tottenham game. Um, Look,
Can I
Burnley
just
love this style. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Can I just quickly say I made a mistake mentioning, I think I said João Pedro signing for Everton. João Pedro is the Brighton striker, the Brazilian. Beto, however, is the Everton striker I was referring to. So Evertonians, sorry, slip of the tongue.
They wish they had that one. Anyway, um,
Probably.
there we go. So Burnley, Tottenham. For me, I love the way Burnley play football. I do think they're going to get caught out in the league playing like that. Simply because again it goes down to quality. There's bigger and better teams doing the exact same thing they are. It's my team to watch.
Mhm.
As I put in my prediction. But against Tottenham, Tottenham look like a totally different team, man. What that I can't
Yeah,
say his
I
name, but
mean,
what he's done, the work he's
and
done with that team's beautiful.
and Postecoglou,
Big Ange
young,
doing work.
yeah,
And they don't look like they've missed Harry Kane, if I'm really honest. Again, I still think Richarlison's dog shit. I really don't like that guy at all. He's like, and he hasn't proven to me why he should be starting. But hey, we're not going to get into that. Madison, on the other hand, total opposite. You
there's
are?
no one else. There's nobody else. They have nobody else up
Um,
front. But alternatively, do they? Dane Scarlett just went out on loan to another club. Their bright young attacking prospect coming through the ranks as the
hmm.
next best striker from the Tottenham academy. Yeah, there's no one else really. I mean, Heung-min Son right down the middle would be worth a go, but I think he operates better from the flanks. So yeah, you've spent your money on Richarlison, 50 million. So it's time to give him the minutes he deserves to see if he can get something out of it. You know.
Well, from what I've seen so far, he hasn't been great. Madison, top class. He's been total opposite. World
Or
class. Well, a bit too far. World class. Top class,
40
definitely.
40 million euros, man. 40 million pounds. Unbelievable.
Ridiculous. Absolute steal. He just runs
Steal.
that midfield, doesn't he? He's
Smooth,
just running
simple,
it.
comfortable with the ball, always timing, cut through balls and link play and passing, little pop offs around the corner and stuff. Always been a big fan of him. Should have came to the Arsenal, but you know, we move, we live and you learn, don't you? So yeah,
Yeah, I
fantastic
don't
stuff.
think he would have played second fiddle, would he? To Odegaard.
Wouldn't have had to. I think it was a toss up between him and Odegaard at the time. And at the time I was saying get Madison. I don't think I would have been wrong in saying that, but yeah, things have turned out the way they have. And yeah, all credit to him for kicking on and doing bits for Spurs. Um, sorry to say, yeah, honestly, just a
Yeah.
fantastic sign.
Yeah.
One thing One thing that quickly needs to be mentioned on Tottenham, just if I may, they had a very random surprise midweek cup game against Fulham. I think it was the fifth round of the League Cup, and Big Ange, off the back of all of the goodwill that he's kind of built off the good performances that Tottenham have had recently, he fielded a team that had nine changes in the lineup, and they
Bloody
ended
hell.
up drawing the game 1-1 and going out on penalties to Tottenham Hotspur. And then the real side of Tottenham fans kind of reared its ugly head again, and they were fuming, furious with the club, the board, this, that, and the other, because I think as good as Tottenham have been playing, deep down they know that that League Cup trophy was their best chance in 20 odd years plus to get silverware, and to for him to have not taken that seriously, fielded the nine changes in the lineup, gotten booted out of it, well, kicked out of the cup, um, and they feel like they're not going to win the FA Cup. They feel like they're not going to win the Premier League or any of the other. Well, they're not in any other trophy, are they? Because they finished outside of the European places.
Hmm.
Yeah, just a big kind of show of disrespect is coming across as from Big Ange for the League Cup. So I think he had made a bit of a horrendous misstep there when he should have put more eggs into that basket. But yeah, they've got to move on from that now and look to secure a decent finish on themselves, I think, Spurs.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think that I don't know if you can blame that all on him though, in the sense that you got to look you need to rotate your squad. You can't play the same 11 week in week out every single time in the Premier League. You can't do it. We're not with all the caps and everything. They be playing 60, 70 games. You can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you could say that on one hand, but then on the other hand, we're only 3 games into the season, so it's just not like they've been
True.
they're overly tired and fatigued. And I think you could have done a bit more here to at least see it through to the next round, and then maybe
Mm.
commit a bit of rotation. But yeah,
Yeah, I
Tottenham
agree with
fans are
that.
not at all. And
Are
considering that
they
the
ever
League Cup
happy?
is one, of late they have been. Yeah, the 2-0 against United will do that, and
Yeah.
yeah, a couple of good results. 2-0 away to Bournemouth also very good. They played pretty well against Brentford for the 2-2 draw. So yeah, yeah, I'd say Spurs fans are as happy now as they've been in a long time. To be fair to them, there's an idea, there's something moving forward. There's an emphasis on something fresh happening, and yeah, um,
I'm gonna say
see how.
something as well. I think Brendan Johnson will take over Richarlison's place by the end of the season. I think he'd be number one striker. I'm saying
Yeah,
it.
but he's more of a wide man, isn't he?
But he played through the middle all the time through this season anyway for Nottingham Forest. Every single time he's playing through the middle because they had that
Yeah, that's
Danilo on the right. So
That's a shout. I think his pace would be better utilized on the flanks more than centrally, but yeah, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
we'll see. We'll see. Last touching point: their midfield balance of Basuma and Sarr. I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it
think
looks
it's a
very
really
good.
good balance. I think they work well together. I think they communicate well. They understand each other. And he's got Basuma playing like he was the Brighton Basuma.
Yeah, yeah, he's looking like Pogba in his prime against Man United.
Yeah.
Um, Matthias Pogba, not Paul. But yeah. No, honestly, that performance will stick with me and a lot of people for a long time, because it was as dominant, as effective, as audacious, as sublime as I've seen in a long time in a big game like that. He's just got to maintain that consistency now and not rest on his laurels, and see if he can continue for the rest of the season. Tottenham have certainly got an unbelievable midfielder on their hands, man. One that a lot of top clubs would take in an instant if he performs like that week in, week out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Score prediction?
Ooh, I'll let you go first.
2 0.
Burnley, not Tottenham. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
2 0
Tottenham
Tottenham.
are too much. Tottenham are too much quality for Burnley. Burnley were big fish in their small pond. It felt like. And now they come into the big pond. They're being shown to be quite small fish, to be fair. They've got a
Yeah.
lot of work to get streetwise and up to speed with the levels needed at Premier League level. So yeah, I can see a 2-0, maybe even a 3-0 for Tottenham.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Next, then we're gonna go on to the Chelsea Nottingham Forest game. Look, Chelsea. You can't predict Chelsea these days, can you? One minute they look really good, the next minute then this isn't a game, mind. One minute they look really good, the next minute they look a shambles. I think it'll take a lot of bedding in because they've signed ridiculous amount of players, spent a ridiculous amount of money. Um, I think it's going to be a long, long time for them to actually get it like bedded in, the style of football they want to play. But I think with Casido, that Gallagher, I'm really impressed with that Gallagher, mind. I know a lot of people are saying Casido this, Casido that, but I really like that Gallagher. Um, Last week that Gusto was really, really good as well. Played really well off the right hand side.
Malo,
Sorry.
Malo Gusto, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then obviously you got Sterling as well, who played absolutely phenomenal. Um, with them goals
He
he
did.
scored as well.
Who did? Sorry.
Sterling,
Oh yes, yeah. Sensational form.
top
Find
class.
himself in.
I'm still expecting
Unlucky to
more
be
from this
left out of the England.
Fernandez though.
Quite unlucky Sterling to be left out of the England setup actually.
Yeah, well, England setup's a joke at the moment, and it's you know what I mean.
Right.
It's a bit of a
Maguire still
joke.
doing. Oh my God.
Mate,
Southgate bad.
Maguire, Calvin Phillips, you've got Henderson. How are they getting picked? How are they? When you got the likes
This
of
is
Jared Bowen, you got the likes of Sterling. You know what I mean? All these players. You know who's that? Who's that English centre back who plays for AC Milan, I believe.
Oh, Tomori's been picked.
He has been picked, is he? Thank fuck for that. About bloody
I know, yeah.
time.
He does have half a brain cell still. But yeah, this isn't Southgate's work. This is a different person in a Gareth Southgate body double suit. This is Gareth Fraudgate or Northgate or something. It's not Southgate that I know who led England to World Cup semi-finals and European Championship finals. Can't be,
I
man.
think, yeah, I think that's it's definitely something wrong with it. But hey, um,
Yeah, the game.
yes, and obviously, you got
Okay.
you are.
No, I was just doing the Chelsea chant. They got one chant, haven't they? Chelsea, 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 Chelsea.
That's all they know.
It's on repeat.
Yeah,
Stamford.
I mean, why not in it? Why not?
Yeah,
Obviously, Forest
hemispheres.
now have literally signed, I think, about 10 billion players on yesterday. They'll be in linked with everyone. You name it, they'll be in linked with them. I love their striker. I can't say his name.
One year.
A
Taiwo.
Wani is a Wani, is it? Obviously, they got Gibbs White. Really big fan of Gibbs White. Really like him. They got that Serge Aurier as well. That Bolly at the back. They got some
Captain.
really. They got a really good structure. I think. I think they got a good one or two good foundations in the team. It's gonna be the same thing as last season with them. Can they implement them new players they bought and actually implement them in a good way? Like they had what's his face Lingard, didn't they? They signed Lingard. Let's be honest, that didn't work. You know what I mean? Um, can they implement these signings in the correct way? What's your thoughts on the game? I think I'm going to say my score prediction now. Just get out of the way. I think it's going to be like a 3-0 Chelsea. I'm going to go big for Chelsea. Jackson with 2. Hopefully
Yeah.
for my FPL.
I think Chelsea are still feeling their way. So trying to find themselves as far as what their best lineup is. It seems like Pochettino has got that idea in his mind and he's implementing it early. I think Raheem Sterling is now shoe in on the flanks. His performance against Luton the other night, I think it was last Friday, was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. He looked electric. He
Mhm.
broke the deadlock he broke the deadlock for the opener, and I think he teed up a couple of others. I believe Malo
Yeah.
Gusto had a hand in an assist for Jackson as well, and they ran out 3-0 comfortable winners.
Mhm.
Um, Enzo Fernandez in there, looking like a diamond of a midfielder, but still still gelling in that
I'm
previous function.
expecting more from him. Sometimes I look at him like, just do something more. I don't know why. I don't know if
There's
it's
a,
the price tag. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because I watched him before and expecting him to do that. I don't know.
there's a lot of hype around him, and Chelsea fans kind of talk him up no end. Or the best DM in the league, blah 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 blah. To me, he looks like he's got a silky, sublime, wonderful touch,
Hmm.
a whole wide range of passing. He can do a lot of things. But I think if you're looking out for him to see what he's about, just keep an eye on him when he's in possession of the ball, how he
Hmm.
receives the ball, what kind of little short, sharp touches he takes, and then I think you'll see exactly what he brings to the Chelsea team. Yeah, Conor Gallagher still a mainstay in the Chelsea lineup somehow. Surprisingly, wasn't moved on yesterday in the transfer deadline.
I think it
So,
fell through, didn't it? I think he was meant to go when he.
well, the thing is, if you've got designs on signing someone, then I'm not sure how he's managing to start every other league game. In the
I like
central.
him. I really do like him.
It's it's a bit out there as far as opinion on him. I will say that he does have a lot of determination and endeavour in that midfield. He's never found wanting for effort, and I think that can't really be said for a lot of the let's say the more talented uh, players. So yeah, he certainly has a consistency to his game, if maybe lacking in the quality department. Jackson off to a really good start as well. He's looking a threat, lively. Um, Mudryk still finding his feet. 80 odd million or whatever it was they paid for him. It's just looking
I'm
like
not a fan of him, mate. I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry, Chelsea fans, but I'm not a fan of him.
everybody who talks about him, who's played with him, who's trained with him, they all say this is an unbelievable talent. Just wait until he clicks, and you'll see exactly what the hype is about. I desperately, badly wanted him after watching him a couple of times in the Champions League for Shakhtar Donetsk. He was, lightning quick, very technical, great dribbler, great finishing, either foot,
Mm.
good balance, strong. He looked like a real superstar footballer. But yeah,
Yeah,
he'll have to find his feet. Um, yeah, I think with Nottingham Forest, they've really surprised me. When they turned up at Old Trafford last weekend and they took an early 2-goal lead against your lot. Um, I, I mean, I was surprised, but I almost kind of wasn't as well. Taiwo Awoniyi now, I think he's broken a record for scoring in 7 consecutive Premier League games, and the way he broke the deadlock for Forest last week, where he just basically ran the entire length of the pitch, outstripping Rashford for pace. And then not only that, but having the audacity to sit Onana down, I think once or
oh,
twice.
it was quality. It was quality that was, to be fair.
Before, yeah, before effectively slotting one in to break the deadlock. Um, was it Brennan Johnson then who was coming down the byline and kind of buying a foul from Dallo? It was either him or
Dillo,
Gibbs.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great. Gibbs White it was. Yeah.
Gibbs White then put the free kick in, and Willie Bolly nicked it in for a 2-0 comfortable early lead. And
FPL. Whoop whoop.
yeah, yeah, and from what I heard, a lot of match reports and fans, Forest were actually the more impressive team, even after they were reduced down to 10 men for that very, very kind of dubious penalty that was awarded to United to make it 3-2.
Oh, there we go. We're not even gonna get into that.
And I think there was enough contact for it to be given, but I think a sending off is ridiculously harsh, unless it was a second yellow, of course, which I
No,
kind
the
of.
sending off wasn't for the penalty.
Oh no.
No, the sending off was because he was last man. He brought Fernandez down for the free kick. He was last man. It was very similar to the Van Dijk one. They're
Okay.
just giving red cards for that. They're not even questioning it. It went to VAR. VAR didn't overturn it. It was a very personally last season. I don't think it would have been given as a red card. It would have been given as a yellow. But
Okay.
with the new rule changes, it's a
Mhm.
red, unfortunately, and we're going to see a lot more suspensions in the Premier League this season, 100%, because these
Yeah.
cards are being fucking flown about ridiculous, man.
Yeah, what I was trying to emphasize, however, was how impressive Forest were
Mm.
when reduced down to 10 men at Old Trafford. To do that in a big club in a big stadium away from home, I think is a good showing. So I'm not going to say Chelsea are going to run out comfortable winners. They have enough quality to do so, but Forest have also got enough quality to give them a good game themselves as well.
Again, I think the only difference for me is that I think they're both very unsettled clubs at the moment, like unsettled teams.
Ish, yeah,
I
ish.
just think that just one's got a lot more quality than the other. If I'm really honest.
Yeah,
Um,
well, a bit more. It's quite a loose term there.
a
I'd say
lot
the
more, no. Let's be honest now.
comparison between the two. But yeah, they look like they've signed well. Who did they just sign last night? Nottingham Forest.
Oh
Nuno
mate,
Tavares,
they signed loads of people. I can't even keep up with it.
Nuno Tavares from Arsenal, the left back, the Portuguese left back, very athletic and technical. I know there was another one as well that they signed for the club. I'm just trying to think. If you look on their official page, who do they have? Oh, Omar Bidele.
Hudson
Oh,
Odoi,
Divock Origi. They've signed on loan.
Origi, yeah, that's the old Liverpool striker, right?
They've signed this guy Ibrahim Sangare from PSV Eindhoven as
Yeah.
well. A very highly touted
They
attacking
signed
player.
7 players on deadline day.
Odysseus Vlachodimos, the Greek goalkeeper from Benfica on a 4-year deal. They signed
Huge.
Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. Remember when
Yeah, do you know how much they sold him for? 2 million they bought him for.
Gustin,
Mate,
he's been
he was
linked to
being linked to Bayern Munich. Yeah, Bayern Munich at one point, and they were like, "Oh, we'll pay 60, 70 million." This was like 3 seasons ago.
80 million euros, 80.
Ridiculous,
Yeah,
insane.
they've signed a Brazilian defender called Murillo or Murillo, another South American, Argentinian defender. It looks like called Nicolas Dominguez.
Mm.
Uh, just crazy. But then we've seen them do this before, and then
And
Billy hold on.
it hasn't really worked out sometimes, is it?
No, no, but they've got a lot of personnel going on there, man. Jeez.
Is it
Um,
too much, too little, too late?
Definitely not too late because we're only 3 games in. Um, not, and, yeah,
Bit of a
we'll,
strange one.
time will tell. Time will tell. Time will
Um,
tell.
Score prediction. I've said mine.
I'm gonna say 2-2.
2-2. Okay,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, they got quality there. They definitely got quality there. Yes,
Last but one game now is obviously Man City Fulham. Obviously Fulham coming off that 2-2 draw against you lot. I didn't really watch the game that much, so I can't really comment on it. So maybe you can talk about it, the game in terms of Fulham. But for me, Man City, I think look, this Man City in it. Let's be honest now. I think they signed 1 or 2 players the last couple of days, haven't they? Which was, do you know, right? I have to tell you this quickly. Their net spend this summer 35 million.
yeah, yeah. They're very
That's insane. You know what I mean? Able to buy and sell so good. Obviously, they got rid of Cancelo now as well. To Barca, you know what I mean? They got shot of a couple of that Palmer went to Chelsea. Bit of an odd one, I think that is, but yeah, okay, bit interesting. I think Chelsea are buying every single under 21 player they can fucking find at the moment.
ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it?
Um, but yeah, I think City will unfortunately be City, and I think they'll probably win 1-2-0. You know what I mean? But yeah, talk about Fulham then, and against the Arsenal, the mighty Arsenal as you call them.
But it's almighty of late, that's for sure. Um, so the game was kind of a typical Arsenal game, really. Medium, mid-level team, Premier League team turn up to the Emirates. They nick an early lead from kind of a Bukayo Saka misplaced pass. It could have been better. It could have been worse, but it wasn't ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And Ramsdale doesn't know whether to come and collect it or okay, let me backpedal and just go on guard and protect my goal. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
caught in a bit of crossroads. So his indecisiveness ends up with Andreas Pereira kind of picking the ball up, stealing it, and getting getting off an early strike on goal, catching Ramsdale off guard and completely out of his goal exposed. And Fulham take the lead within that, 57 odd seconds of the game, and then it just turns into a typical kind of game for us where we've got the ball for 80% possession of it, um, popping it about, trying to pick the lock and sneak in through the door or the window. Um, Eventually finding an equalizer. I think it was from a Bukayo Saka penalty that we got it quite late into the game, and
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, an inspired substitution from Mikel Arteta bringing on Fabio Vieira, who basically had a hand in both winning the penalty that Saka tucked away, um, as well as setting up Eddie Nketiah with an unbelievable through ball right around the corner, bent around the whole defense for Eddie to tap it in for 2-1. And it looked like we were going to see it through. And then next thing you know, Fulham gets a random corner um, because of a Zinchenko misplaced pass, which is quite rare for him because he
Hmm.
was one of our exceptional players when he came on as well. Unbelievable talent, that guy, man. I need to see him start against United, Zinchenko. But he gave the ball away. Fulham ended up with a corner, but they ended up kind of tucking away, and the game ended up finishing 2-2 after a desperate late scramble to try and get the winner for the Gunners. Um,
Yeah, I did say the people to watch out for. One of my ones from that Fulham team was Paulinho, and I think, look, I think he proved that, didn't he? I think he's a top quality side. Unfortunately, his deal fell through, didn't he? He was meant to go to Bayern.
yeah,
Um,
they give him
fell
man of
through
the
last minute.
they give him man of the match at the Emirates. I thought he was I thought he did well. I don't think he would have gotten the man of the match if that result remained 2-1. But I guess with him getting the match winner, it was the cherry on top of the cake. Yeah, a brilliant midfielder, to be fair. Very happy to see
Mm,
him retained and getting more chances and opportunities to see him in the Premier League. He's, yeah, a tough tackler, very quiet, no nonsense, gets up about his business. Sublime range of passing as well, long distance, short distance. I think one of the top two tacklers in the league last season, and yeah, he would have looked very comfortable in that Bayern Munich midfield, playing for a giant club like that. That's for absolutely sure. That's for damn sure. Um, so yeah, Fulham. I always felt like they needed a couple more reinforcements still, because I feel like they're still a bit too reliant on a couple of the guys that got them up from the Championship.
hmm
And it's just not really. I think just to beef up that squad would have been ideal. Um, but yeah, yeah. So far, I guess so good. Drew one, won one, lost one. It's about what Fulham fans would expect from their club at this stage in the season, I guess. Not too
Would
much, but
you
enough.
would you expect more from that Jimenez? Um, Look, he was such a talent before his head injury, and after his head injury, he hasn't looked the same player, right?
Yes,
Um,
yeah, yes and no. As far as Raúl
hmm
Jimenez, he's an unbelievable centre forward. When Wolves brought him in from Benfica, he looked like a proper number nine, the exact
hmm
s- ar- archetypical kind of South American number nine, tall but athletic, rangy, crafty, sneaky, skillful, silky, all combined into one. Since the head injury, of course, he hasn't been the same guy, but I still think he's got enough in his locker to bag Fulham a couple of goals this season. I think he's a good replacement for Mitrovic. Yeah, I'm quite actually shocked and surprised he plays for Fulham, because I thought Wolves would have done a lot more to retain him. But as it goes, they've gone on to sign Alex Iwobi from Everton yesterday. 22 odd million, I think. That's a brilliant signing. I think he'll be happy to be back in London after such a long time away, over in Merseyside. And yeah, Calvin Bassey is their other uh, uh, reinforcement that they've brought in. I think he's Nigerian or Ghanaian, left-sided centre back, left back. He was sent off at the Emirates for a very blatant kind of a blocking of Eddie Nketiah's run through on goal. I'm not sure he's going to have the quality to be able to keep up with Premier League standards. To be fair, when you
hmm
resort to shirt pulling and dragging people down, even though you're last man, to me that tells me that there's a bit of a small fish in a big pond type of thing about you, where you're having to resort to them kind of means to just deal with, but standard attackers like Eddie Nketiah. What are you going to be like against your actual top level players?
mm.
Haaland and the likes, you'd probably be ripping their clothes off, their underwear and socks. But yeah, it was, yeah, I think Fulham, it's difficult to see which way they're going to go, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, I agree in that sense. But look, I think it's gonna be 2-3-0 winners for City personally. But score prediction?
Um, so the cottage, right?
No,
Oh,
Etihad.
see, when me and Nikki, my mate who supports Fulham as well, were watching this game last season, this fixture. City needed a last-minute penalty to basically get it over the line from Fulham,
Yeah,
who were kind of resolute, and I think that they were unlucky to not win the game themselves. Um, difficult to call. City should mop the floor with them. I'm going to say 3-1, maybe 3-2, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fulham somehow managed to sneak something out of this because they can be plucky like that, you know. I've seen it a few times. But if we see the Fulham that turned up against Brentford the other day, then this could be a whitewash as well. So, yeah,
yeah.
could have to be a 3-1.
Um, okay, interesting. So the last game, the 5:30 kickoff, probably the game I'm looking most forward to, Brighton versus Newcastle. I just love Brighton the way I just love watching Brighton play football. It's just so enjoyable. I'm not even a Brighton fan, but I can sit there and watch them for hours. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Newcastle, look, they're not coming off a bad result. Do you know what I mean? They're coming off some really good form. So I think you're coming in two informed teams at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Even though they have lost to Liverpool and they did lose to City, the Liverpool one I generally feel was a little blip, if we're really honest. By the way, I just want to touch on something. I think Liverpool are the best team in the world playing by 10 men, by the way. They play
Yeah,
better with 10 men, which is insane.
they do.
Um, but
Uh,
I think this is going to be a very interesting game head to head. Very evenly matched teams, I think. Um, in a way. And I think I just don't even know what my score prediction would be for this. If I'm honest, a draw, a score
home and away.
draw.
Home and away.
What do you mean? Brighton at home.
Brighton at home. Mm, okay. So yeah, I mean Brighton. They were very dominant against West Ham in their last game. Probably 85 plus percent possession of the ball overall. Um, and for all of their work, all of their craft, all of their endeavor, all of their intent, West Ham just seemed to hit them with three different counter attacks and punished them and made them pay with every single time that they did. Um, which is what's been effectively working for West Ham, like it did against Chelsea, and quite unluckily against Bournemouth, where they probably should have won that game as well. Obviously, they're top of the table. West Ham are now off the back of that, and Brighton really showed that they can be gotten at down those wide areas, those flanks and those channels where a lot of their bigger, more rugged centre halves, a bit slower, can get exposed. So that's one of the things with possession football is that you leave yourself open to counter attacks. But that doesn't really, it shouldn't really take away from how impressive Brighton have been of late. You know, they banged and walloped Luton 5. They put four past the team they played in their next game. Trying to remember who that is. Wolves away. A Wolves team that impressed at Old Trafford the week prior, and yeah, it
Yeah.
should just be business as usual for them. But back on the good run of form that they were on, they were the bogey
But I
team for
think
Liverpool.
I gotta say something. If Wolves had a striker, I think the game could have been different, or someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. That's Wolves'
Perhaps,
issue. Full stop.
perhaps, but if my aunt had a you know what, then she'd be my uncle, you know, as well.
Yeah, but
Um,
I don't. You know what I mean. You look at a scoreline doesn't mean the game actually played like that. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, I hear you. Wolves had did bits in that game as well, but yeah, I think as well. I was just going to touch on the fact that Brighton were a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool last season. They got themselves a 3-all draw at Anfield. I think Trossard got a hat trick in that game. They beat them comfortably 3-0 at the Amex Stadium, and they also knocked them out of the FA Cup when Matoma scored that wonder goal. So yeah, a lot for Liverpool fans to kind of be concerned about and to have to deal with. I think Liverpool in their last game against Newcastle was a very kind of feisty encounter. Two very good midfields going head to head at St James's Park. Obviously, the game swung on the early situation where, well, firstly, Trent let the ball roll under his studs. for the Newcastle opener from Liverpool fan Anthony Gordon, obviously playing for Newcastle, and then that strange little incident with Virgil van Dijk when one of the Newcastle midfielders slipped Alexander Isak through and he brought him down. But there was a bit of contention there as to whether it was a a last man situation, whether he was actually bearing down the goal, or was he just wide of the goal. Van Dijk obviously agreed and not happy to get a straight red off the back of it and contested it to that degree, to where I think he's looking at additional action now being issued for his on top of the ban that he will already receive for the red card itself. Um, and then after the Van Dijk red card, Liverpool just seemed to step it up. Jurgen Klopp made a tactical change, bringing on Joe Gomez, I believe. Szoboszlai and McAllister really put the work in, trying to knit things together in that Liverpool midfield, and they managed to see out the rest of the game without conceding any more. And then an inspired substitution, bringing on Darwin Núñez, who's kind of been left a bit sidelined by Klopp and not really being started in games, with just two identical, like for like, kind of slipped in that inside right channel of Liverpool's attack, just to clinically slot two clean finishes past Nick Pope and run out 2-1 winners. Sorry, um, yeah, that was pretty ruthless from
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool, and if they can maintain that kind of efficiency in their game, then yeah, they can look to kind of aspire to do whatever they want with that kind of those kind of tactical options available to them. Not everybody has a Darwin Núñez to pull off the bench, you know.
No,
So yeah, all in all, I just want to say that as far as this game goes, very difficult to call. I
I'm gonna say mine before you. I'm gonna say two. I want Newcastle to win in a way, but I don't. So for me, it'll be Brighton 2, Newcastle 2.
Sorry, forgive me. We were discussing Newcastle facing Brighton, not Liverpool, not
Correct.
Liverpool. Yeah, yeah. I've seen a couple of nil-nil draws with Brighton and Newcastle over the years. It's never really a one way or the other type of kind of situation when they face each other. Newcastle, by the way, have impressed me no end, man.
Mm-hmm.
Against Liverpool for the first half at least. Um, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joe Linton. Man, that is a midfield and a half. And
Yeah.
I know they've just got a Champions League draw with where they've been drawn with the likes of who is it, AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and who was the other one? Was it Real Madrid?
Oh, mate, ridiculous.
No,
PSG, yeah, it's ridiculous, mate. Group of
It's
death, huge. It's ridiculous.
PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and the other team that I mentioned. Yeah, um, I'd be licking my lips. I would, as a Newcastle fan, I would want to see my midfield combination, AC Milan, that's the other one. That midfield combination being
Yeah.
tested against some of Europe's finest. Kieran Trippier as impressive as ever down
Oh,
that right.
yeah.
That central defensive pairing of Botman and Fabian Schär, brilliant. Dan Burn was consistent as ever as at left back. Um, Miggy Almiron on that right flank, hard working up and down, always a spark creatively, always looking to make things happen. Alexander Isak, just I think one of the best young forwards on the planet right now. Um, d-
Mm-hmm.
uh, Deadly striker, full of an entire box of tricks, unbelievable dribbling. But I think most surprisingly has been Anthony Gordon, old pizza face,
Yeah.
a little teenage lad from Everton with a lot of flack and criticism his way for some of his attitudes, his behaviour, the way he forced his way out of Everton to leave the club. And yeah, he tore Trent Alexander-Arnold, an absolute new one last weekend. And Trent should have really been sent off in the first half, getting done up twice by Gordon, and he's lucky that it wasn't more. Yeah, I'm going to say a 3-2. It could be 3-2 either way. Let's give it Newcastle. Let's give it Newcastle. They due a win,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah, we'll go 3-2 Newcastle.
Another
Just
thing I want to touch upon quickly before we finish up and we touch upon one or two things. They still got a very good bench as well, and to think they still got Joe Linton and Willock to come back, like
no,
from injury.
Joe Linton's been playing.
Shows the injury on my end.
He played in the Liverpool game, right?
Don't know. He's out. Doubtful, injured.
Okay. Okay, he might
So
be doubtful now off the back of that, but he certainly featured in those games. Um, yeah,
and you
Callum
got
Wilson,
Willock, obviously.
Joe Willock as well, another fine footballer signed from us for 40 million, who's definitely proven his worth at St James's Park. Yeah, that squad is looking better. And don't forget Lewis Hall as well. I think 28 million from Chelsea. Little
Hmm.
tidy English left back or central midfielder if he wants as well. That's a very astute signing there. Yeah, a Newcastle fan as well, believe it or not. Yeah, I think they can really put on a show for the rest of the league, the rest of the Premier League campaign. Newcastle United, their fans are going to be licking their lips every single game because they've got a multitude of attacking options and just uh, a base 11 to get excited about. I think if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be very proud of the work that Eddie Howe's done, and I'd be
Yes.
confident going up against any team in the Premier League because they look fit and firing and ready. You know, the
I'm not gonna lie. When I seen Eddie Howe appointed, I was like, they could have done better. But I take it back. I take it
same,
back.
same. Well, the proof will be in the pudding when it becomes time to do bits against Europe's finest and to actually start
Yes.
lifting silverware. That's when you'll know. But mhm. Yeah, so far so good. Excellent job he's done. Brilliant job.
Yes.
That's
Very
how you
impressed.
that's how you spend money when you're given a war chest like the way he's done. Economically, efficiently, cleverly, and shrewdly. Yeah, full props, full props. I know a lot of Newcastle
100%.
and a lot of my Newcastle United supporting mates watch this show, and they're always looking for the Newcastle bits and pieces to see if we actually follow the club and we pay attention. Guys, come on, we do. It may not always come across like that, but I've got the utmost admiration for the club and the way it's conducting themselves.
Yeah.
It's
I've always had a little soft spot for Newcastle. Always have. But
and more importantly, the team as well. Very impressed with the actual
yeah.
fair play. Up the Geordies, up to two.
Yeah. Well, may have to do a little bit more personalized to certain clubs soon. Maybe. Hopefully, my plan is, guys, for everyone who knows, next tomorrow is obviously United Arsenal, so I want to do a specific little recording for that. Just me and Nori talking about it, just specifically about that one game. I'm not going to tell you my thoughts. Nori, look at him, looking all smug and already. You know what I mean? Rightly so. But also again tomorrow we got the Liverpool, Aston Villa, and Wolves, Crystal Palace. Maybe rings a bell. Yeah, so we got them tomorrow as well. Let me just have a look. Yeah, Wolves, Crystal Palace. Yeah, so that's 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and obviously our game's at 4:30. So we are going to record a little special just for that game. We might go live, we might not. It depends. We'll see. But guys, again, thank you for all watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share it with a friend, and drop us a comment on your thoughts. Nori, take it away. You want to say
Did,
something?
did you want to touch on a little preview for those two yet, or even just a light, quick
Yeah,
summary?
I'll do a little preview. Well, we may as well do the preview for them two now, and obviously we'll leave the Arsenal United one for a specific one. Maybe later on we can record it, put up.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the good plan. So okay, and fine then. Let's start off with Liverpool Aston Villa. Liverpool, I've just reinvented the whole midfield as we spoke about at the beginning of the program. Um, I think even though the fans have panicked a little bit, I think they've done some really good business. Maybe they've been mugged off a little bit, I think, in terms of with the Casido and obviously the Lavia deal. They did get mugged off a little bit by Chelsea, but hey, Chelsea would just chuck money at anything these days. If they can get that clicking, that midfield, I think that's the only issue in their team. If they can keep Salah, because obviously the Saudi window is still open for another week. So if they check another, I think Liverpool will probably accept around about 200 million. If they accept that, that could be an issue. But I think they got plenty of cover. I think personally, I think they got plenty of quality against an Aston Villa side who has struggled at the beginning of the season, but I've got back into their normal ways. So Liverpool being home, I'm gonna give him a 2-1 win for me.
Uh, uh, yeah, as I was saying when I was touching on Liverpool, very, very impressed with that midfield. That midfield worries me. If we're playing them tomorrow, I'm worried about Szoboszlai and his craft on the ball, his athleticism, his skill, the way he can make decisive passes, killer balls. Yeah, he's like a complete box of tricks, man. A really complete midfielder. Very impressed. I'm quite jealous they've got him actually. As a footballer, I love playing for my team. Alexis McAllister wasn't really sure how he fits in for Liverpool, but yeah, he looks very, very comfortable and tidy there as well.
Hmm.
It's just really young partners in midfield. Both the Japanese guy, I think he's 30 or 31, Endo,
Endo, yeah.
Japanese Henderson.
Japanese.
He semi impressed me against Newcastle. I've liked some of the work that he put in. Um, I think he was sacrificed in the game though when they went down to 10 men. From what I recall, but I'm not 100% sure. The attack really speaks for itself. Obviously, Mo Salah, Mr. Consistency, being touted around 200 million transfer to Saudi Arabia. It didn't happen. I think it's for the betterment of the Premier League and obviously for
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool's. Um, and then you got Aston Villa, who, yeah, okay, they took a bit of a walloping against Newcastle United that first day away at St James's. But since then, they've really clicked into gear. They put four past Everton. Most of Diaby's looking like one of the signings of the season. Still can't quite believe how he's playing for Aston Villa instead of one of the top six Premier League teams. But fair play, Villa fans. I think they deserve some excitement at Villa Park. And yeah, he'll certainly be a guy that can bring that. I think he scored in three or so consecutive games. Scored in a couple of consecutive games in pre-season as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, yeah, a very, very good outfit. John McGinn still doing bits, pulling strings in midfield. A couple of other very good signings that they've signed that are just not coming to mind right now. But this could be a high score draw, I feel. Unai Emery has got them absolutely cooking. To be fair, I think they beat Hibernian 5 earlier in the midweek for one of the Europa League qualifiers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can see a high scoring draw, 2-2 or 3-2. I'm gonna go 2-2. That Desmond.
2-2. Fair, fair. I
Yeah.
just want to touch upon one thing which I forgot about.
Hmm.
Brighton signing that
Oh,
Fatia. Absolute
and
insane signing.
too fat. Yeah,
Yeah, really, really good signing. He's a really good player. I liked him at Barca. I'm surprised Barca let him go. But obviously, when you're getting a João Felix, you know what I mean? You can't really. I think sometimes you just got to respect the player's wishes of wanting to play first team football and let him go, I guess. I think that's the reason why. Brilliant loan for Brighton. I just wanted to touch upon that quickly and your opinions of him.
well, look at it like this, okay? I mean, when Lionel Messi left Barcelona and went to PSG, there'd be a big burden on whoever was going to inherit the number 10 shirt, um, following on from Messi, and the club saw fit to hand this youngster that much coveted poison chalice, you can even call it, really, because
Mm,
there's going to be enormous expectations whoever puts on after Messi, and yeah, he looked like he would be the real deal. Yeah, s- um, Spanish youngster of African descent, coming to the Barcelona academy, very comfortable on the ball, very creative, very dynamic, and
mm-hmm.
I think injuries in the last couple of seasons have hampered his progression. I think he's lost faith with the coach as well. That's why they've seen fit to loan him out. And yeah, he left, I think, with clapping the fans with tears in his eyes after leaving for Brighton on loan. But an enormous coup, I think, for the Premier League and for Brighton to get a talent of this caliber. And if he kicks on and does what he was destined to do, then I think. Yeah, the Premier League are really in for a good surprise as far as what this kid can bring to Brighton. Yeah, a fantastic and a signing
Yeah,
of the likes of Tottenham Hotspur and other clubs in and around that level should have been looking at really. But yeah, he's going to have to overcome a couple of the injury issues that were plaguing him. And yeah, we should see a fantastic acquisition for them. Brilliant, brilliant work from Tony
100%.
Bloom and
100%.
Groves.
Quickly then, just a very quick one. Crystal Palace, Wolves. Like, Palace, I like Palace. I mainly like big, good old Roy. I like him as a manager, you know what I mean? He's just old school, and you know what I mean. I like the way Palace have got a good couple of youngsters as well. I think that obviously can progress. But I just think that's going to be a really boring game if I'm honest with you. Tomorrow I think that's going to be one not to watch. If I'm honest, Wolves can't hit a fucking barn door at the moment. Terrible. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. For me,
Terrible.
you are.
Is terrible the word for them?
Um, I'm on about their striking. You know what I mean? The ability to score a goal is terrible. I think they're playing really well. It's just that final, the last third is terrible. Unfortunately, you know what I mean.
Mm.
But yeah, maybe terrible as a team. No, terrible in the final third. Yes. Um, but hey, look, they're playing nice football. I think Crystal Palace are playing decent football as well. Maybe not as easy on the eye as it is for Wolves at the moment, but yeah, for me, I think Crystal Palace being home, 1-0 win. Crystal Palace, I think maybe 0-0. I don't think it'd be much in that game if I'm really honest.
Yeah. Um, Two interesting teams whose version you never, which version of them you never know will turn up to the game, given whether they're playing away or at home. You can get a complete Jekyll and Hyde version of both teams. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I would say is that Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park is always a difficult game, it seems, for any team that goes there, big, medium, small, or otherwise. Um, and but on Wolves' side, I mean, they were pretty effective at Old Trafford when they went there for the first game of the season. I know
Yeah.
that they've just lost Mateus Nunes, one of the stars of that game, to Manchester City, so they're gonna have a bit of an issue replacing his talent and quality.
Bit of a
Um,
strange one that was for me. Why they would sell him, but yeah, so late as well. Bit
well,
of
there
an
was there was
issue.
a there was a colossal fee that was being paid, uh, where I think they've made a substantial gain on the transfer. And then on top of that, with Nunes also, I think going on strike, which obviously is going to lend to the exit. It's going to add to the ease of shipping him out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all kind of come about. So if they can look to plug that gap and also find someone who will actually get them goals, I think that they can look to look to go into the game expecting to get something against Crystal Palace, but it will be a tough game for both. I think I see a draw or a sneaky win for one or the other. I'm going to favor Wolves. In favor Wolves. I like Wolves. I've got a soft spot for
Mm,
Wolves.
okay. Well, I love Crystal Palace. I just like him. I really do. I love a bit of Roy Hodgson. Love him.
Yeah, right. Oi, oi.
Roy, good old Roy. But yeah, and obviously Arsenal United. What do you? No, we're gonna save that for tomorrow. Don't you worry. We'll have that video going up nice and early. We'll record that later on today. That'll be video probably go up by. Hope I'll set it for around about 9-10 o'clock in the morning, so you get a good little view at it. Um, Look, we'll go in depth about each team. We'll say our opinions. No doubt it'll get a bit debatey, should we say? Um, off he goes. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend. Adios, baby. Adios.